When an anime tops the charts and lands the #1 spot, that's how you know it's a great one. But when an anime consistently tops 6 different charts in a row for the first time ever in anime history for several weeks, and is slowly climbing its way up to #1 with every passing day, then that's how you know you're dealing with peak fiction. Fuck, I have cancer. The Dangers in My Heart has continued to crawl its way into my top 3 anime of all time since it aired last year, and its second season hasn't let up in that regard, with absolute peak episodes every single week that somehow just keep getting better and better. It's the type of anime you watch thinking it's going to be a fun ride, only for it to absolutely floor you with just how good it ends up being, to the point that it's arguably the best romance anime I've ever had the pleasure of laying my eyes upon. And not just because she's hot.
You disgust me.
It manages to craft a connection between 2 characters so naturally that you'd forget you were watching anime, were it not for the 6-foot-tall giant with tits bigger than my face. She's 14, by the way. And that in and of itself is a feat very few anime have managed to accomplish. But when you then combine that with a supporting cast that's not only hilarious, but also feel like actual real people who have an existence outside of the plot, yet also exist for it, then you start to ask the question, is this a masterpiece?
Dumbass, disrespectful question.
If the anime managed to fly under your radar, then it's time to give it a shot. Because while the plot does seem like the typical boy meets girl and they dick around for the next 3 seasons, which is exactly what it is, it's also so much more than that and touches on aspects few other romance anime attempt to, like what exactly a genuine relationship is. And while there's certainly some cringe in the first 2 episodes that's bound to turn people away, they're not bad in and of themselves, and it's the type of anime that quite literally just keeps improving with every episode, so it's worth getting through them to get to moments like this.
声が低くなったら私のこといっぱい読んでね。
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
Unlike most romance anime though, the story isn't as episodic as it initially seems, and that's what really separates it from its contemporaries, as it never wastes time on filler episodes to prolong the inevitable and instead uses each individual episode to portray new aspects of our 2 leads, Yamada and Ichikawa, as they learn more about one another and grow together, progressing the plot that is their relationship every single time. Even though I'll never have that. The progression from strangers to oh they gon' fuck is the most natural I've ever seen from an anime, of which I touched on more in my original video, but what's really impressive is how much we start to learn about the characters because of it. With Ichikawa getting the main focus in season 1 as Yamada breaks away the armor he donned to shut people out, that being the creepy I wanna murder her attitude that drives away so many would-be fans in the first episode, which is the equivalent of dropping JJK because of the hot men, which honestly couldn't be me. Likewise, Season 2 is Yamada's time to shine, thus we learn more of her own inferiority complex and how she feels that everyone around her is so much better than her and that she's constantly letting them down no matter how hard she tries. And it's that trait mixed with Ichikawa's own lack of self-confidence that serves to illustrate the fact that they're not only much more alike than they think, which is basically the entire point of Season 2, but to also make their relationship feel all the more real. Just like the hentai does. Rather than just being focused on the will they won't they, the anime opts to tackle each lead's interpersonal problems and show how they both help the other to overcome them, whether it be Yamada chipping away at Ichikawa's armor by constantly hanging around him, which you'll never have, or Ichikawa helping Yamada to realize that she has a genuine passion for acting, something she couldn't put into words herself, which not only makes her respect him all the more, but also causes Ichikawa to realize that Yamada isn't Yamada if she isn't always trying to be her best self. So he encourages her to continue when given the choice to run away from it with her, despite it meaning that he has to put himself in uncomfortable situations. God, I wish that were him. Actively helping one another grow is exactly what a genuine relationship is. 2 people who share a natural chemistry that are always propping each other up and helping become better versions of themselves because of how much they care for and look up to one another. Feeling like they can't exist without them, literally. And that's what the entire anime drives home, that they genuinely love and depend on each other. They're naturally compatible, which is why they were drawn together in the first place, and it's why this douchebag guy was never a fit for Yamada to begin with. But it's his existence that propels the already excellent writing into the next level, even though this is basically the audience every time he shows up. Douchebag Guy, yeah, that's totally his name, is a character that seemingly only existed to get the ball rolling at the end of episode 1, serving as the bridge that connected our 2 leads. Yet he continues to show up periodically throughout the series because the anime treats its world just like our world. Thus, it makes sense that he wouldn't just magically disappear or fade into the background because, just like in real life, your problems don't suddenly go away, especially when you don't even attempt to confront them. Holy shit, he has a real name. While he is eventually dealt with in Season 2, it's the fact that the series had to take the number of episodes it did to naturally build up up to that point that makes the writing so realistic, where Ichikawa and Yamada have started confronting their own problems to better themselves and the other, in turn growing the amount of love they feel for each other to the point where Yamada could confidently say that she had someone else she liked, even in front of Ichikawa, and that's fucking cinema.
ヤマト、僕が好きなんだ。
Oh yeah, I got a boner. She cries at first because it's painful and she feels as though she's not good enough, so Ichikawa may not reciprocate, but they quickly become tears of happiness as soon as the following episode when Ichikawa calls her cute.
死ぬほど可愛い。
Oh no, I have kids.
Not only would none of it have been possible without this seemingly random character's existence, but they were also all necessary steps that had to happen before the inevitable confession. And it's things like this that put the writing in a tier all its own, with the payoff to those moments being as good as they are not only because of the lack of fillerish episodes, but also because of the spectacular anime adaptation. The direction and OST specifically knock it out of the park, as the director naturally builds up to those bigger moments while nailing the in-between perfectly, whether it be comedic, serious, or romantic, which is extremely impressive considering how tough it is to do just one of those things correctly, let alone balance three very different things so masterfully. And the OST is the cherry on top with just how well it fits the series. It's unassuming and isn't much at first, but it slowly starts to mellow you out in the background while drawing your attention to what's happening on screen, subtly building your emotions to the bigger moments as the tracks themselves swell in intensity and all the facets of the show come together to form a symphony of peak.
君が僕